Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Today we're going to be talking about what happens when you die. Now, I know you're thinking, well, we either do nothing if you're an atheist, I guess, or you're thinking maybe the angels can come and get you, or who knows what you're thinking. Maybe you've never even asked this question before, but I'm going to tell you because I talk to dead people and guess what? They died. So let me tell you some of the things that happen because it's not all the same. That's another thing that's very surprising. I would say the garden variety death, which would be you're old, you've lived a long life, you're perhaps ready to go, and the time comes and you just slip, right? You just slip out of your body and you're met by the person you want to be met by. If you're a very religious person and you've been conditioned to think that you're going to be met by a particular angel or archangel or even Jesus or Mother Mary, you're going to be met by them. If you want to be met by somebody that's preceded you, you will be met by them. So if you really want your husband or your wife or your child or even your pet to meet you, believe me when I say they will meet you. Now, it's a little different if you have an accident. If you have an accident and it's a traumatic accident, a lot of times, well, all the time, your soul will leave your body. Like you won't even experience the impact or the actual agony of the death. So people often wonder about that. And look, your soul is no dummy. It's not going to stick around in a body that's going to experience something like that. If you're in a coma, if you have advanced Alzheimer's, your soul will flee. It will exit stage right. It will go up to wherever the souls go in the universe, the soul lounge, and hang out and talk to your soul family until such as a time that it can return to your body. If it's a traumatic death, a sudden accident, then sometimes I've seen the soul pop out of the body right at the impact or just before the impact. But the problem is because it's an accident. Now, the thing that I think is interesting is that we call it an accident down here because it wasn't planned. But guess what? It's an accident on the other side too. If it's not planned, and there are some deaths that are not accounted for, that are not planned. Look, humans are wild down here. This is the Wild West. This earth is the bad adventure land is what I call it. So sometimes things happen. So if a soul pops out of its body, it oftentimes lingers at the auto accident. It lingers in the OR room. It lingers at the scene of whatever that death was. And it's not expected. So nobody's meeting it. And that's a problem because there's no tunnel of light. Like you're not sure what's going on. They didn't have you on the reservation list, you guys. You have no reservation. So there's kind of like a scramble, you might say. Okay. Now, believe me when I say you've got spirit guides, and your spirit guides are going to be there. They're going to be trying to get your attention. But I find that people that cross over in an accident like that, they're very earthbound. They're not alive, but their soul, the energy of their soul is very earthbound, and they're not quite of that vibration that they can readily speak to their spirit guides. Now, there's a lot of different permutations of this. Okay. We've already described several different options here. So not everything is going to be exactly the same, but I've seen people that describe being above their bed in the hospital or in the operating room, or being above the car or whatever, and thinking, what happened? What do I do? I've met souls that didn't cross over, that died in an auto accident within blocks of my house, and they made contact with me, and they literally follow their body. They'll go to the hospital with their body. This is one of the kind of traps that a soul can get in and not cross over. because they never quite get that higher vibrational lift to get in contact with their spirit guides or to go to the light. They're literally focused on their body. Okay. They're focused on finding a medium like me to tell them I'm right here. Tell my mom I'm right here. Tell my wife I'm right here. And I'm like, I can't, because I don't know them. I don't even know. You know, I've even had a soul tell me what hospital they said, I'm right here at this hospital. It's right down the street, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I can't just walk into a hospital and get on the PA and say, I got a person that looks like this, that, you know what I mean? Like, they don't understand that. They're very confused. Okay. Now, eventually, those people, those souls that have been involved in an accident, I would say the guides are saying 80 to 85% of the time, they make their way to the light. They can be given some time here to, I don't know what they're saying, equalize their energy. You can't make them. I mean, you just can't. You can't come and grab them and accost them and drag them off. So they need some time to come to the realization that they're dead. Once that happens, then they start looking around for answers. And that's when they can see the light. That's when they can see another relative who's already crossed over, who's coming to get them. But until they start going, wait a minute, I must be dead, they don't know they're dead. Like, actually, now that I say that, I've met many ghosts who tell me they're not dead. Actually, the first thing a woman that trained me told me is, she's going to tell you she's not dead. And then I look at her, I like got this woman on the phone. I've got a ghost in my house. And I'm like, yeah, her name is Sherry. And my mentor says, she's going to say she's not dead. And she looks at me, she goes, I'm not dead. she had bloody clothes. It was a trip, you guys. So anyway, that's how you can become a ghost. I don't suggest it. It's not a good life. I suggest going to the light. So your loved ones can come get you. It's always going to be someone whom you want to have come get you, right? It's very important, because if I've done lots of videos on this. So if you guys are new here, I have a whole series of these videos. And there's many people I've talked to that are ghosts that say, I didn't want to cross over because my abuser was on the other side. I'm not going there. Or I'm not going to cross over because I think I'm going to hell. Or I'm not going to cross over because I think I'm going to be punished. So these are some of the reasons why they don't cross over. Now, another thing that happens when you die, let's say that you died of a drug overdose. Now, again, this is not 100%, but this is a common situation, okay? What happens is, depending on the soul, the vitality or the vibrancy of the soul, the angels will come. So let's just say that you crossed over and you were sick for a long time, and you were sad and depressed and lonely. Your soul is going to be a pretty kind of fractured and low vibration. And also, if you have a drug overdose, sometimes when you cross over and you're really out of it, like if you have Alzheimer's and you cross over, if you're just not cognitively with it, or your soul is such a low vibration because of illness or depression, this cadre of angels will come. It's almost like I'm seeing an ambulance. They come and they're very tender. They almost create a shroud around you. And I feel this is for protection, but it's also that your soul is kind of fragmented, and it's also to keep you all together. You don't have the strength. You don't have the wherewithal to just walk with them. You can't. So you need that kind of assistance. And they'll come in and they'll literally treat you very tenderly with love and care. Also, they just showed me people that would choose to exit their life by their own choice. Again, there's no judgment here. if this is the case, your soul is in so much agony that you're met with love. You're met with complete and total love and acceptance and caring. And again, you would be treated to like the infirmary, they're telling me, like you would be going to a healing center. And some souls just have such a hard life here that they need that extra care. For whatever reason that they crossed over, they just need that extra care because this lifetime was too hard on the soul. Okay. So these are ways that you can, these are some of the things that can happen when you cross over. Now, of course, if it's an accident, meaning you got into an accidental car wreck, or you even got into an accidental overdose or an accidental violent type of situation, many times, not all the time, but many times you have an opportunity to come back. So then you're met halfway, or you're met all the way. They come all the way to your bedside and they're like, this isn't time. It's not time for you. You cannot leave at this time. That's one option. These are near-death experiences. Another option is you have a choice. Would you like to exit? Because we're okay with that. And you can say to them, but what does my future hold? And they might show you something that you decide, oh, I want to be there for that, right? I believe we have multiple exit points in our lives to exit our life or our lifetime here on earth. And these can span years and years and years. So it's funny, we always talk about cats having 9 lives. Humans do too. I don't know that it's a specific number. I don't know that it's 9, but there are definitely, I feel like at least 3 exit points. And, depending on you, could be more exit points as well. So let's see, we talked about people being met by their loved ones. We talked about people being met by the angel ambulance. We talked about people being met by angels and archangels and Mother Mary and Jesus. Let's talk about what happens if a really dark soul dies. I have a whole video on this, and I'm channeling. If you don't know that, you probably don't know that, but I do these videos with no notes. There's no preparation. Basically, I'm a conscious channeler. I did a video on dark soul. If you go to my website, if you go to my YouTube channel, Susan Lynn Spirit Navigator, not this one, Susan Lynn Spiritual Wayshower. If you go to Susan Lynn Spirit Navigator, you'll see it. Dark energy crosses over. It was fascinating. You know what was fascinating? Was how they gave the soul an opportunity to correct its path by sending it to a different planet where it had much less free will. So you think about prison, right? But it wasn't prison. It was just like a training planet, because this is an expert planet. Earth is an expert planet. We have free will. So we can pillage and kill and steal. We can do whatever we want, right? I mean, of course, there's the option of jail, but this is what this is, right? So this is what I'm talking about. So what happens when a dark, dark soul crosses over? First of all, I'm going to go all the way to the max. I'm going to go to a dark, dark soul, like a Hitler, okay? Like somebody who is personally responsible. Or who was that guy that did the Jim Jones, that guy, that they want to bring up that guy, because these people were personally responsible for people's lives ending. They interrupted people's free will by, messing with their mind. Okay. Why do I really want to do this? Okay. I just looked at that energy and I was like, wow, do I really want to do this? Okay, so is it Jim Jones? Is that the guy's name? Okay, so he, both of them, these are not normal, right? Your average serial killer is not even this bad. I mean, I have to make gradations because there are gradations. Okay. So for people like this guy, for people like this guy, Jim Jones or Hitler, they have to be captured because again, there's a sense that we told you just because you died doesn't mean you have to go to the light. Think about that for a minute, right? Like when I talked about these, there's 2 videos I did about dark souls. There's an opportunity for them to quote unquote escape, to be on the lam, to avoid their comeuppance or the consequences of their actions. And that's the first thing. The first thing is they want to escape. And they don't, I'm talking about the humans, they don't want to be ghost. Hitler did want to be a ghost because really he was very fearful. That guy was he was afraid of his own shadow, actually. So he was really afraid of dying because he was afraid of losing control because he knew some bigger power would have more control of him. So he wanted to be a ghost, meaning he didn't want to cross over. But I feel like he was nabbed. His energy was contained. His soul was contained, meaning he didn't get to stay as a ghost and he didn't get to escape. Now, I'll talk about escape in a second. So then Jim Jones, that guy is very different and he's not nearly as fearful. He's weird energy. They got him too, but you know what? He tried to escape. He tried to, I don't know, did he use some sort of hallucinogenics? I know supposedly Hitler did some drugs, but I feel like this guy used hallucinogenics and he did try to like meditate and try to astral travel. That's the word I'm trying to say. And he felt like, well, if I can astral travel as a human, then when I cross over, I can do the same thing because my soul won't have the earthly body to hold me down. So he tried to escape, basically maneuver his way around the normal process. Okay. There are souls that are free. I don't know why the guys want to call them free range. They're, like cattle is free range. I don't know. I'm in Texas. You guys got me. They're not contained by any system. They're out of bounds. I have dealt with at least one of these souls, if not more, because one came through. It's a long story. But anyway, let's just say that I interviewed this soul. I literally talked to him and found out what he does. I have a whole video that I've never published. I don't know if I will. It's fascinating because I was using the pendulum and he was answering all my questions to the pendulum. It was a very fascinating video because I basically interviewed him like I was an interrogator or an investigator, not an interrogator, but an investigator. Well, why did you do this? Well, where did you go? Well, why didn't you do this? And he told me everything. And he didn't go to the light. He just kind of like snuck out the side door. And because of that, he's sort of a free agent is another good word for it. He works for human souls that are alive right now that want to connect to him. He kind of does their work for them. Like, okay. So souls can do a lot of things. They can go right to the light. They can be met by their bedside by their loved one. They can be met by their bedside by angels. They can be met by their bedside by archangels. If they're a ghost, if they die and they're like, I'm not going to the light, I'm afraid, they will literally exit their body because they have to. And then something you might not know about ghosts, or maybe you do, because they're ghosts, they're earthbound. They got to walk or get in your car or get on the plane with you. All these things have happened, but they travel with humans. Okay, so that's how they get around. So there are a lot of ghosts in hospitals because sometimes that's the last place they saw their body. They may not like their family. They may not trust their family. They may not have a family. They may not believe in a life after death. They may not believe in any higher power. And they're just like, well, I guess I just stay here. So hospitals are pretty haunted. As a matter of fact, I have sent ghosts to hospitals before because I couldn't cross them over. This is in the beginning. I'm much better at it now. Like it would be hard for me not to cross you over now. I'm much more experienced. But in the beginning, I couldn't. I think it was Sherry. What was the name I just said? Shelly, that woman that had stabbed. I got her in my car. I drove her to the hospital and said, this is where you need to go. This is where all your people are. And she got out. And I was like, rock on, man. So hospitals are very haunted. Is there anything else I need to tell you about what you don't experience? Pain. The physical body can experience pain, but your ethereal, your soul doesn't really need to experience that. Again, so I think people are worried about suffering. If you really are worried about that, I would just ask, because you can just ask to not experience anything, to pass out. Many people literally pass out before they die if they're in some sort of traumatic situation. You can do that. There's no reason that you have to suffer, right? The physical body has to do what it has to do. It's physical. It's, blood, all that stuff. It has to do what it's going to do, but you don't have to experience that. And so if you're thinking right now, well, what if I don't know who to ask to come get me? Well, that's a good question. And I can tell you this from having crossed over so many people. Because what happens is whoever has the biggest heart connection is the person who comes to get you. And that could be even a friend. And you might not think, I don't know. I don't really feel like I have such a strong connection with this friend, but it's energy. And you may not be aware of it, but energetically, you have a strong connection to this person, whatever, human relationship it is, it doesn't matter. I've crossed people over using a best friend before because they wouldn't cross over for anything until what I do is I make a call and I say, who has the most love in their heart for this person? That's the person who they'll cross over with. Believe me, I tried to do it every other way. I'm like, I'm going to call your mom. Didn't work. I'm going to call your dad. I'm going to call, Archangel Michael. Now, if you're not going to cross over and you're a problem to me, you're causing me problems, then I'm going to call Archangel Michael and I'm going to call Metatron and I'm going to go over your head and I'm going to cross you over. I'm going to almost forcefully, it's not really the right word, but they want to say assist you in crossing over. Okay. But really what I try to do, and I'm very successful at it, is just calling in whatever works. I just know I can, because I'm asking the right question. What does this person love? One time I got a guy who wouldn't cross over. I've talked about this not that long ago in my house that I had just bought, sitting at my dining room table. And I couldn't get him to create. He was ornery guy. Like, you're not staying in my house. And I tried everything. He wasn't budging. And he didn't even own the house. He was squatting in my house. So I found out through his energy that he loved motorcycles. And I told him that he could ride motorcycles all day long, any motorcycle he wanted, like any. And that man crossed over so fast. So you just have to figure out what it is that motivates people. A soul, especially an earthbound soul, is very human. They still have the same human foibles, the same human desires. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for checking out my channel, Susan Lynn Spiritual Wayshower. I have a whole nother channel, Susan Lynn Spirit Navigator, where I predict politics. And I also do some spiritual videos, including some live videos where we do readings. You know, there's lots of options for you. Also, I have an online community, the Lighthouse Keepers Crew. It's free. You guys, I created a whole community. It's not on Facebook. It's not on Meta. It's not on YouTube. It's not Google. It's not Elon. It's not anything. It's mine. So your data's safe. You're safe. You can join it for free. All of these things are on my website, which is SusanLynnMedium.com. SusanLynnMedium.com. I have a free online community, and then I have a premium online community. If you want to join a community with over 1,100 people that offers little mini classes where I do readings, where I'm there working with you, where your soul can really be supported and you can really grow, join my online community, Magical Metaphysical Community. And that's $12 a month. You can cancel, you can join anytime you want. So there's some really good options there for you to find your people, find your tribe. No matter what is happening in the world, the most important thing is our life. We just talked about how people die. When people die and I talk to them, they never tell me, I wish that my government had done something differently. I wish that, you know, I had had a boat, or I wish that I had had a huge house. You know what they really miss? They really miss people. They miss laughing with people, sharing an interest with people, having dinner with people. They miss taste. They miss the wind on their face. They miss seeing the trees sway in the wind. They miss the sunrises. They miss the simple things, okay? So find your people and enjoy your life in whatever way you can, because no matter what's happening, they can't take away the fact that you are looking at a sunrise. That's yours. They really can't take away your joy and happiness. You just have to find them in different ways. And as you do that, you're growing your vibration, you're growing your soul. That's very important, because as you shine, it spreads out all around. And that's helping others, right? Take really good care of yourself. I'll see you again next Wednesday.